15 runaway pets who returned home. If you have a pet, you dread the thought of being without them. A pet running away can be stressful, terrifying, and all around just an awful experience. Luckily for us, there are multiple ways to find lost family members and bring them home. These are some of the most miraculous and heart-filled stories of lost pets returning home. Number 15. Prince the Shih Tzu. Myrna Carrillo had gotten the tiny Shih Tzu named Prince while she was single and living alone, needing someone to keep her company. However, Prince vanished one day and had gone missing for 5 years. During that time, Carrillo was devastated but pursued on in her life. She would eventually get married, have children, and even move 4 different times. Miraculously, Prince had found her after all of that time and appeared on Carrillo's porch. Shocked at first, Carrillo was greeted by Prince and she finally had her companion back. Number 14. Giggle Blizzard the Cat. Just like the name of this cat, this story is a trip and a half. Giggle Blizzard had gone missing from Tracy Steger's home. Feeling upset, Steger started to post pictures of her beloved cat around the neighborhood to find out if anyone had seen Giggle Blizzard, but she came to no avail. However, Giggle Blizzard was in fact on his way back home but came across one little issue while doing so. When crossing the street, a car had struck him and broke both of his back legs, leaving the poor cat in pain. Almost shrugging the injury off, Blizz traveled for 11 days to get back to Steger and was immediately treated for his wounds. They say cats have 9 lives, but we think that Giggle Blizzard just earned 10 more. Number 13. Laser the Beagle. The LePage family in Winnipeg had adopted their new family member, Laser, when he was just 3 years old. Laser had gone with the family to their cottage on Winnipeg Beach for a nice vacation when a nearby fireworks display scared the beagle away. The LePages had gone through the standard procedures to try and get their beloved pet back. Over the next few weeks, the family would receive calls from different people saying they spotted the lovable beagle as he made his journey of over 50 miles back to the LePages. Returning home from a long journey with tough terrain, Laser arrived home without a scratch. Number 12. Nigel the Parrot. With some of the most beautiful colors and the ability to repeat sounds and phrases, a parrot is by far one of the coolest pets to own. This is where we introduced Nigel, a parrot owned by a Californian-British man named Darren Chick. In 2010, however, Nigel escaped and was almost never to be seen again for 4 years. Darren began to lose all hope of his precious pet parrot ever returning home. But Nigel did return home, and instead of speaking in a British accent, as was normal, Nigel had somehow learned Spanish. Nigel's story made it on the news, and shortly thereafter, Darren received a call from Liza Smith, whose family had purchased the parrot in a garage sale after he went missing. Liza's grandfather, Ruben, had grown attached to the bird and started speaking to it in Spanish. Ruben had lost his wife, and he dealt with his loneliness by talking to Nigel. Darren, touched by the story, returned Nigel, now named Morgan, to Ruben. Number 11. Manuela the Tortoise. Tortoises are one of the most chill pets you'll ever own. They require almost no grooming or human interaction. In 1982, the Almeida family of Rio de Janeiro lost their pet tortoise. The family believed they'd lost their pet during home renovations when he might have slipped out the back door unnoticed. 30 years later, in 2013, the Almeida children were cleaning out their father's home after he had passed. To the children's surprise, they found Manuela in one of the boxes in the storage room. After a visit to the vet, the family learned that a tortoise can go 3 years without food, but Manuela likely ate insects in the storeroom to survive. Number 10. Opie the Horse. In 2002 in San Antonio, a woman named Michelle Poole left her horse, Opie, in the care of her father while she underwent surgery. In the middle of the night, Opie was stolen. A pastor living 300 miles away in Dayton claimed he had found Opie wandering on the road and happened to have a trailer to bring Opie to his property. Apparently, the pastor had attempted to sell Opie on Craigslist, where the horse was recognized by a woman attempting to purchase a horse for her own daughter. In the end, Opie was finally returned home. But we just have one question. Is there an illegal Craigslist underground horse ring that steals and sells horses? And was the pastor involved? The world may never know. Number 9. Woozy the Cat. Cats are independent creatures, so it's hardly a surprise to hear that one cat, Woozy, decided one day to wander 30 miles from his home in Cornwall, England. He traveled all the way to a pasty factory, where he was quickly adopted by the employees. After some time, the employees even took him for a checkup, where they were surprised to learn he was microchipped. After 3 years, Woozy was finally returned home, albeit a little chubbier than before. Number 8. Charlie the Cat. What is it with cats leaving and returning years and years later after making their owners worry? In 2006, Joe and Ade Hay of Hampshire, England, had begun to worry when their cat Charlie had not returned home for dinner. After posting signs and searching around for months, Joe and Ade had eventually given up. After moving away for 6 years, the Hay family had grown, and Joe was looking for a new house to raise her family in. Returning to their old neighborhood to check for real estate, Joe had spotted a cat that looked super similar to Charlie. Approaching the cat cautiously, Joe picked him up with no problem. She had taken the stray to the vet and had discovered through a microchip that it actually was Charlie. Charlie now remains an indoor cat only, but the Hay family is happy to have him back. Number 7. Corky the Dog. In 2009, the Montez family had lost a vital family member in Texas when Corky, their terrier mix, had escaped his kennel in the backyard and was almost never seen again. 7 years later, 2 dogs were picked up on the side of the road by animal control. After scanning for microchips, Corky was identified immediately as the Montez's dog, and they were contacted. After picking up Corky, the family had noticed the one-eyed dog and Corky had become very close friends. The Montez family ended up adopting the one-eyed dog, who they named Captain. Now, Captain and Corky are brothers and live their happy puppy lives with the Montez family. Number 6. Holly the Cat. While on vacation near the Daytona Speedway in 2013, Bonnie and John Richter lost their cat Holly, who had been scared by a fireworks show. After a fruitless search in a sea of nearly 3,000 campers and motorhomes, the Richters returned home without Holly. Almost a year later, in 2014, a woman named Barb Mazzola had noticed a cat in her backyard that was quote-unquote barely standing. The Mazzola family quickly took the cat in and tried to nurse it back to health. They took the cat to the vet, where it was scanned for microchips, and turned out that it was Holly. The Richters were quickly notified of their found cat and picked her up immediately. The crazier part of the story is that Holly had traveled over 200 miles to try and see Bonnie and John without any help from cars or other passersby. Number 5. Zander the Husky. In 2012, after being admitted to the hospital, John Dolan was forced to leave his husky, Zander, home alone. Zander apparently could not even fathom being more than 2 miles from his owner, so one night he decided to leave and find John. Zander had crossed a busy street, a stream, a nature preserve, and many other obstacles to get to his owner. When he arrived at the hospital, a nurse had found Zander and called the name on his collar. Only a few feet away inside, John answered the phone and had been told that Zander was, quite literally, right outside his window. Nothing, not even 2 miles of the city, could stand between Zander and John. Number 4. Skittles the Cat. The Sampson family was vacationing in the Wisconsin Dells in 2002 for Labor Day and had brought their cat, Skittles, with them. Unfortunately, while the family was vacationing, they lost track of Skittles, and time ran out to find him before they had to return home to North Dakota. In 2003, 16-year-old Jason Sampson was being scolded for bringing home yet another stray cat. But upon further investigation, they found that the cat Jason had brought home was Skittles. Skittles had traveled over 350 miles in 140 days just to return home to his family. Number 3. Gribouille the Cat. This French cat had traveled almost 600 miles to be reunited with his owner. In 1987, Madeleine Martinet of France had given Gribouille to a neighbor because she felt as though she was too financially unstable to take care of him anymore. The neighbor had then moved from France to Reutlingen, West Germany. Gribouille must have been a faithful French citizen at heart and trekked over 600 miles back to Martinet's doorstep. Being underweight, dirty, and mostly blind from infections, Gribouille had returned home in 1989. Martinet quickly took him to the vet where he was treated for his injuries and lived a happy life with Madeleine until the last of his days. Number 2. Willow the Cat. In Boulder, Colorado in 2006, a calico cat named Willow had made her grand escape from home when contractors left the door open during a squire's home renovation. Willow had been missing for 5 years, and the squires just assumed she would never come home. But surprisingly, Willow had been found, all the way in New York. The calico cat had been spotted roaming the streets of Manhattan when someone decided to take her to the vet. The vet had scanned her microchip and discovered that she belonged to the Squires in Colorado. Willow became an overnight feline celebrity and had garnered such a reputation that the Today Show had to talk about her story. While no one knows exactly how Willow ended up in New York, we're happy to hear that she was found okay and returned to her family. Number 1. Bobby the Wonder Dog. In 1923, a 2-year-old Scotch Collie and English Shepherd mix was sadly separated from his family while on a road trip in Indiana and was lost. The family had searched far and wide for Bobby until eventually they had to start their journey from Indiana back to their hometown of Silverton, Oregon. Bobby then had started his journey home, traveling over 2,551 miles to his family's doorstep. Bobby had traveled 14 miles a day over the course of 6 months to return home and is claimed as one of the most famous and celebrated dogs in U.S. history. Bobby has had so much critical acclaim that he even had a movie titled The Call to the West inspired after his journey, and even several books. The town of Silverton commemorates this legendary pup with his own children's parade, as well as statues and memorials found all throughout the town. Did you enjoy the entries on this list? Did we miss any crazy stories about pets running away from home? Do you guys have a crazy story about pets running away from home? Leave your responses in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Titanic for new videos every day. Also, before you leave, be sure to click that bell icon to be notified of when we post our new videos. Thanks for watching.